Hello and welcome to UX and UI here at Adobe Live. I'm Sarah Stewart, I'll be the host here today, and here we have Katy Wyman.
Hi guys, it's so great to be here. I am so excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to quickly go through what we're going to do today, tomorrow, and day 3 with Katy. Katy is going to be working on a app where it helps you select different restaurants or different places to eat with your friends, depending on your dietary restrictions, which sounds super useful for someone like me, where I have lactose intolerant. I'm also trying to eat vegetarian, so we're going to go through the whole process from mood boards, wireframes, sketches, all the way to final prototypes and style guides. So we'll be breaking that up into 3 different days. Today we're going to be focusing a lot on how to get inspiration, how to create a flow, personas, really the whole gamut of what you should be doing as a UX designer, which I'm super stoked about. But first we're going to go through and talk a little bit about some of the other streams that are going on this week. And so we have a couple of different people. You might have tuned in to Heba and Paul this morning. They're working on a really fun trading card Pokemon app sort of situation. So that sounds super rad. I need to learn more about that too.
So cool.
We'll be working on the dietary app, and then Sarah later today with Lindsay will be working on redesigning an old app and then creating a new health-related app. So a lot of different stuff going on, a lot of different types of industries and topics. But we'll really be going through a lot of the process-heavy stuff, so I think you're going to learn a lot by tuning in here with Katy.
Yes.
And I'd love to go through a little bit of Katy's background. But first, I also want to mention the challenges this week. If you were listening in to the last stream, you know that it's a soccer-themed challenge, and so we're working on some one-pagers for the World Cup. It can either be a mobile application or a desktop application. We just want to see you use some of those Adobe stock assets that we've given you to create these one-pagers, and I'm excited to see what they look like. I'm also excited to talk a little bit about the World Cup because I love soccer. So we'll be looking at those later today. So yeah, Katy, do you want to start by talking a little bit about your background and what you're going to do this week?
Sure. So, hello, I'm Katy, and I am a hybrid designer. So that means I do a little bit of visual design and a little bit of UX design. Maybe we can show my screen.
Yeah, so we're going to jump to Katy's screen where she's put together a nice little intro, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, so here's a little blurb about me. It says, I love to draw inspiration from music, films, travels from areas of humanities and well-being. And through all of this observation and with empathy, I want my designs to touch and inspire people and to have an experience that not only looks good, but feels good too. Most of my designs are inspired by things that help you live a better and happier life.
And is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a good message to have with the work that you're doing. I feel like that really inspires you and morally drives you forward, which is really cool.
For sure. And you know, with everything going on in the world, the thing we need most is things that exude happiness. So.
Yeah, love, happiness, welcoming.
Yes.
Awesome.
And this is just my Instagram. I doodle a lot, and you can check it out if you want to see a little bit more about what I do.
Yeah, these illustrations are really great. I'm also going to go through some of the other resources and ways you can find Katy. So Katy has a website, which is just katywyman.com, where you can see a lot of her UX and visual design work. She also has an Instagram she's mentioned. And we also have her Behance page, which I'm going to pull up. So if you just search for Katy Wyman, and that is her handle all over the internet, you'll be able to find her if you search for people. And on Behance, she has, for some reason it pulled up the wrong Katy Wyman. Oh, because I put Kate instead of Katy. And it should have been Y. Yeah. There we go. So Katy with a Y, Wyman, you'll find her Behance page where she has her REI website refresh. But again, her website has the most of her stuff with the REI stuff included. and a couple other projects that we can maybe take a peek at. Do you want to talk about one of these projects in particular?
Sure. Why don't we look at the Etsy project?
Great. Etsy's a really cool company.
So what I really like about this project was the collaboration with other UX designers. And I actually took a UX boot camp not that long ago. And they really had us focus on the UX process from the research aspect to the design. And we took 2 weeks for this project. The first week was all about research, and the second week was all about design. And this project showcases doing the usability testing, doing surveys and questions, and asking people how they felt about the Etsy app and what they wanted to see improve and what they loved about the app. So you can take a look at my portfolio site and read a little bit more, but I think this gives you a very clear idea on the UX process and the before and after of
Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is really great. I feel like Katy's work is a really good example of showing the whole UX process, and so this is a really great example of a case study. So if you're working on putting together a portfolio site, I highly recommend looking through her stuff, seeing how she solved the problem from start to finish and presented it in a really visually stunning way.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go through all these steps on the stream today, so I'm excited about that as well.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, and so that's where you can find her on the web. And Katy, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Brownsville, Texas. Then I moved to Austin for college. And everybody, my instructors, everybody's like, New York is the place to be. It's the Mecca. I graduated in advertising, so I have a little bit of background I took a course in psychology. And once I graduated, I really wanted to focus on everything I learned in the psychology class. Later I came to find out that UX design is it's focused on the human psyche, exactly.
Yeah.
It's human-centered design. So this is like
the perfect fit.
The perfect fit, exactly.
Yeah, and Katy, you talked to me a little bit about your background. I'm going to go over at high level. Maybe you can go into a little bit of detail as to how you followed your path to where you are today. But it sounds like you started doing visual design for large companies like Condé Nast. Mm-hmm. You then took a UX course at General Assembly, which is a really great boot camp for getting into the more human-centered approach and to think about the process of UX design compared to visual design. You then got a full-time job at the ADL, which is where you work today, which is super cool. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. And you're doing UX design on the side as well as illustration and doing some travel videos as well. So really the creative gamut of a bunch of different stuff.
Yes, it's really hard to stay put in one place. So I like to explore and be as creative as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I moved to New York, I started doing graphic design for really amazing companies. And now I'm at ADL, which is the Anti-Defamation League. Check them out. They're really great. They're, I believe, 109 years old. But it started off as an anti-Semitism organization, and now they have branched out and they fight for good. They're
part of your core mission
rights.
statement.
Exactly. Yes, I'm so proud to be there.
Yeah.
Working with them.
It sounds like a really great place to work, and you also get to do design and creative stuff on the side, but you do want to transition to doing that full-time eventually, and that's why you took the GA course.
Yes.
Great. And so you also talked about maybe at home people might not have the same resources as what you might have in the States. And so watching stuff like this stream is really helpful to learn different skills and tools, learn about different tools if you don't have those resources like General Assembly available to you. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yes. So a little bit background. My mother is Ecuadorian and my father is Mexican. So on both sides of the family, I can tell you that a lot of people don't have courses like General Assembly. So having tools like the Adobe Creative Suite can jumpstart your career or even your interest in design by a lot. You can download the programs, you can YouTube tutorials and teach yourself. And I think that's really cool. It's a really cool tool that empowers you to, follow your dreams in design.
Yeah, I feel like YouTube and the internet has become such a great place to learn any type of skill you want. And so design is just another one of those things. But Adobe has amazing resources for you, including the stream. And so as we're going through the day, feel free to jump in with questions, please, to ask Katy about the process, because I think she'll be able to answer in great depth. And participate. Participate in the challenge. We'll give you feedback. It's always good to see people being excited and encouraged to create wonderful designs using XD. And with that, why don't we jump into day one? So I think you have a list of all the different things you're going to be going over today.
Yes. So this isn't exactly the UX design process, but these are kind of assets that you can look for, like you can utilize to begin designing UX.
Yeah, I think maybe deliverables is a way to look at them.
Deliverables. So definitely have a mood board, something visual that you can look at that inspires your design. Have a comparative analysis. So depending on the app that you're designing or the website you're designing, depending on the topic, you want to make sure that you've done your research and have looked for similar ideas that are out there. And you want to compare them to what your design idea is and make a list of, okay, this website is doing this. I love this. So check. I'm gonna take inspiration from that.
Yep.
And this app is doing that. So it's a really cool way to organize your thoughts and ideas. And then we have Affinity Map, which is the quintessential UX design
visual,
exactly.
Yeah.
Where you write on sticky notes and put them all over the wall and organize your ideas that way.
Yeah, when you think of UX designer, you generally think of sticky notes all over a wall with some whiteboard markers circling different things. So that's part of the Affinity Map process.
Sarah, do you have any cool memories or like any stories on affinity mapping?
What a good question. I took a class through IDEO where I got to work with 4 different women in New York City, and we worked on a project with some nonprofits to help educating immigrants to learn English. And so we ended up doing a mood board where we had a bunch of sticky notes of different ways we can help them be educated, apply to jobs, and learn English. And so that was a lot of fun just because of the topic that we were trying to solve for. Mm-hmm. I got to meet new wonderful ladies who were inspiring to work with and collaborate with. And then we got to go to some nonprofits to talk to people about what would be useful for them. And I loved, coming up with really random and cool ideas. So cool. Yeah. Yeah, how about you?
Well, at General Assembly, we had these whiteboards all over the classrooms and the hallways. We had these sticky notes everywhere. And I think it's a great tool to use when you're trying to really get to the deep, the
core issues.
The core issue, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it seems like we have your teacher from your, I guess, college classes, Thomas Benner.
Oh my gosh, hi Thomas.
And saying how proud he is of you, which is really cool. Thanks for participating, Thomas.
Thanks, Thomas.
Cool. Yeah, so affinity maps are a great part of the process. I feel like, yeah, we've gone through about half of this list of different things we're going to cover today, which is a lot. But it's important to go through all these steps, so.
Yes. And then we have personas, which we're going to get a little bit more into detail coming soon. A problem statement is really important when designing anything because you want to know what you are providing a solution to.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have feature prioritization. That's a long word.
Yeah.
This is cool because it's almost like the MVP. It's how can we create something with like the least amount of features that works on
MVP.
The MVP.
Yeah. Minimum viable product is when you prioritize it in a way that whatever is necessary just to get it out the door to ship it before you iterate and improve on different features that are less necessary.
Yeah. And this is cool because a lot of stakeholders want to know how we can design something that's inexpensive or the least expensive. So
yeah, minimal.
Minimal, exactly. And then storytelling and flow. So these are really important things to keep in mind when beginning the UX process.
Yeah, so these are all really great steps in the process, and Katie's going to go through each one of them. So yeah, why don't we jump into the mood board, which I think is a ton of fun.
Yes.
Where you just pull a bunch of different inspiration together to be able to know how you want to tackle the project or product and what kind of stuff you want to include. And so it can look a little crazy when you put it together, but it should just be really almost like sticky notes, but in a digital form of everything that inspires you for the project.
Yeah. So what I like to do is I like searching on the internet. Pinterest is a great website. Behance is a great website. And I like creating these mood boards, and the XD program is great because you can just get the little tool here and create little boards. And what I do is I categorize them by what I like about this certain image. So up here you can see font type. I like this font. And then here I wrote the list. I like the list on this specific image. And yeah, you can organize it the best way that suits you.
Yeah, do you want to zoom in on a couple more of these so we can see the screens?
Yes.
Cool.
This one's really cool.
Cool, so that one's about organizing the timeline. Yeah, you can zoom in maybe one more time. It's a little hard for me to see. Cool.
And they're a bit blurry because I didn't download them properly.
Yeah. It's just for inspiration, which is fine. So as long as you get to see what you want as far as inspiration goes, then it doesn't need to be super high quality. You don't need to recreate these because, yeah, it's just, again, those sticky notes with all these notes.
Yes. And what I really like about XD is that on this side right here, where the cursor is, you can actually add colors and create a style guide on the side as you're working through whatever you're doing. So that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, so it's the assets panel where you can include things like colors, character styles, different symbols, and that'll all be part of how you export out this document for, say, a style guide or design specs or whatever you need to create a final deliverable.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love it.
Yeah, so JD asks if you include mood boards in your deliverables to the client if the client asks for the original XD files. So when you're working on a project, would you try to put together this as a final deliverable?
Like send this to the client?
Yeah.
I would not, just because it can change at any given moment. Because when you're designing, you want to design the low fidelity wireframes first and show the client what the idea is. You don't really want to give them the full width and breadth of how it's visually going to look, because that can distract from the original idea and functionality.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And I know that sometimes when I'm working with clients, I might ask them to provide me a mood board or an inspiration album because I want to know what direction they want to take the project. If it's more about me pulling inspiration for, say, like branding or logo based on something that they have an idea of in their head. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I think it depends,
yeah,
right?
I think it really depends.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't want to show them this because then they'll get caught up in it and they'll be like, I want it to look like that exact application, which you don't want either. So I think you need to know what your client's looking for and how they'll react to different deliverables too.
Yes.
But going through the process no matter what is important as a designer to know that you're really thinking about it in a thoughtful way.
Yeah. And I come from a visual background. I'm transitioning to UX design. So one of my main worries starting off was, how can I make this as pretty as possible? And although that's a really great concern to have, I don't think it's the first thing you should worry about. So definitely take inspiration, because it's almost hard to try to get the idea down while creating the user interface and how it's visually going to look. It's a lot of work. So for sure, start off with a mood board, but it can always, it's flexible. It can always change. You can always add things to it. And that's the brilliant thing about this, is that you can customize it to whatever your client wants and needs.
Yep, and XD can handle a bunch of stuff. So throw as many things as you want in your inspiration artboard, because XD will be able to handle all those screens.
That's true, yes.
Yeah, so we have a couple different people from different locations. I like hearing about where people are from. We've got Chris from Nashville. We've got a couple different people from Berlin, like Massimiliano. I thought I saw someone else from Berlin, but let me know where you're chatting in from. It's always cool to see. I'm originally from Canada, originally from Austin, or a suburb. Texas.
Yes.
What's the name of the suburb again, or the city that you're from?
Brownsville, Texas.
And then you went to Austin.
And then I went to Austin.
Cool.
Yes.
Oh, wow. We got a lot of people from all over. We got Cleveland, Ohio from Shannon. Austin from Thomas.
Hello.
Shania from Arjun. Brazil, Armando. James is also from Texas. Yeah.
Hey.
Some Texas representing. Tampa, Florida from Colby. Sao Paulo, Brazil. LA.
Victor, hey.
NYC, I know that place. Oh, Canada, David, awesome.
Denmark.
Tatsuri. Austin, my home, James, nice. Yeah, very global crowd. You're right, Chris. Netherlands, too, from Carla. It's always cool to see where people are calling in from, and maybe this is a great resource for some people who might not have things like General Assembly, or maybe you have a different alternative UX course or class available to you. North Carolina, Bliss, nice. I'm moving there. Oh, Buckmisters, do you know them?
I do.
Oh,
They're
nice.
from GA.
Oh, cool.
My UX class.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Cool. Victor's from the GA class.
Yes.
Nice. Got some Greece, more New York City. Cool. It's nice to hear from everyone.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for participating.
Yes. Ask us questions. We love to talk, as you can tell.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I was gonna ask, how many of you are studying UX or wanting to get into UX?
Yeah, so Katie was talking about transitioning from UI or visual design into UX. I actually made the reverse transition from more of a UX strategy point of view into more visual design. So what's your story? What are you working on, and what do you hope to gain out of this stream? We'd love to hear about it. Maybe we can try to cater what we're talking about to what you want to learn too.
Yes.
Some people are moving from back-end to UX, like Carolis. Melanie is transitioning from visual to UX. David's just starting to learn XD. Yeah, just finished a bootcamp in UX design. Adriano. Graphic design to UI UX. Walter. Nice. So a lot of different experiences, but it seems like people want to learn about UX, and this is going to go through all those processes. So this is really great. Cool. And feel free, yes, to ask questions as we go along. So we've covered the mood board, and next I think we're going into the competitive comparative analysis, which is also super important. And as a reminder, thanks for participating. Please, everyone, participate. Go to behance.net/live. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what you're learning, because in about 2 minutes, we're going to be announcing the winner of these beautiful socks, and they're the new version of the XD socks. I was a fan of the old version, but the new version looks even cooler. Gosh, I want these socks. I'm going to have to work my way into the XD team to get me my own pair. But yeah, these are beautiful. By just participating in chat, you have the chance to win. So please participate. Let us know where you're from, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to ask. You might win these.
Can I see?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you.
They're awesome, right?
I love them.
Yeah, I like the bottom too. It has like this breakdown of the pattern. Very cool.
So cool.
I would wear these with the skirt and show them off. Cool.
Do they also have like Photoshop socks?
I don't know if we have Photoshop socks. We have the Photoshop pillow, but we don't have the socks. I think XD is exclusive with the socks, with the styling. Yeah. Cool. We got people from Vancouver too. Nathan, I'm originally from Vancouver. Oh, Peter thinks these are fancy socks. Thanks, Peter. I think so too.
You may win them.
Yeah, you might. Cool. So we'll do that in about a minute. But yeah, do you want to maybe pull up the competitive comparative analysis?
Well, my mood board was kind of my competitive comparative analysis because it's a lot of work, a lot of time goes into that. But if you keep in mind as you're pulling in visuals, you can annotate like what makes you stand out from what's already out there.
Yeah, so if you want to pull up the mood board again, you had the notes in there, right?
Yes.
So beside the different pasted screens, you had the notes about what you liked about the different applications, what their strong suits were.
Yes.
So that's how you compare what you like about these different applications and how you're going to bring that into what you end up building.
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. And with that, it's time to go into the hype for the socks. Get hyped. Participate.
Woo!
Woohoo! You have a minute to get hyped about these socks. Woo! Awesome, we got some cold ankles with Mike. It means you need some socks, buddy. You gotta wear some socks to keep those ankles nice and toasty. I like wearing my socks and robe at night. That's like my go-to outfit, so I would wear these like every night.
Fancy.
Yeah, super fancy, right? That's I don't know if that's fancy. I think that's just like comfortable laziness.
Yes.
But we have about a minute until we announce the winner, so keep participating. I love everyone wanting these socks so bad. I understand, they're super stylish. Cool. Yeah, these socks are really cool. It's an 8-bit feel for sure with the different patterns on it.
They're really cool.
Cool. All right, thanks for participating. Keep it going. And we're ready to announce the winner. Katie, would you like to read the name of the winner?
Sure. Ryan Smith.
Ryan Smith.
You won the socks.
You won the socks.
Yay.
Congratulations, Ryan. Great job. Thanks for participating. I'm so jealous. These are amazing socks. Good job. And definitely tune in for the next stream because you'll have the chance to win another different prize. But thanks, Ryan. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Cool. Gosh, man.
I want some socks now.
I know, right? I feel like I need to go sock shopping and just like get a bunch of cat socks, get a bunch of like Adobe socks. What kind of socks would you want to buy?
I like the ones with like the sticky, cushiony thing that don't slip off.
Yeah. That's really handy for when you're slipping around the house and you don't want to fall on your bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really comfortable.
They're really comfortable. The other day, my sister was browsing Amazon, and she texted me, "Do you need anything?" And I texted her back that I needed socks. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a go-to adult Christmas gift or like Christmas ask is, I need socks. Socks and underwear, please. I'm an adult now.
Yeah, you know when you're officially adulting when You ask for socks.
Yeah, it's not like when your parents used to get it for you when you were a kid and you're like, socks again? Why didn't I get like a Nintendo?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everyone for congratulating Ryan. I love the friendship and camaraderie here. Yep, so socks are gone for now, but you'll have another chance to win in the future. Cool, and with that, let's jump back into the XD design. So we've looked over a mood board. We've had some notes about comparative analysis on the mood board. What's next, Katie?
So, so to begin, what I'm going to demonstrate my app idea, I want to talk a little bit about how to prepare to get there. So like the research part of it. And did we talk about what the app was going to be about?
I went over it really high level, so feel free to jump back into it and go into more detail. I said it was an app about finding restaurants or places to eat with your friends based on dietary restrictions.
That's it. That's exactly it. What the app allows you to do is to select a friend from the list, and it connects to your Facebook, and your friend and yourself can both find like a middle ground, a restaurant to eat based on your personal dietary preferences, dietary restrictions. And I don't really like saying restrictions because I don't think it should restrict you. I think
I like that.
You know, it allows you to be more creative with your food choices.
Creative and healthy generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
we have a quick question from Vibe Bath. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Let me know if it's wrong. He's wondering what the difference is between UX and strategy design. Is there maybe a thought you have there?
I believe strategy can be is a method to think strategically, and it can be used for a plethora of things, but UX is specifically human-centered design. So it's based around what a person is wanting and needing. It's strategic, but it's more based on
the human. Yeah, so if you break down what UX stands for, I mean, it's user experience, right? So strategy can encompass user experience, but strategy, I think, is a broader term. And so I would see it as like a big bubble where strategy is larger, and then UX can be a portion or a part of what strategy thinks about. But strategy can also consider business reasons. It can also consider development, technical restraints. And so strategy is more so looking at the larger picture, whereas user experience is really focused on making sure that they're presenting the best idea for the user. And sometimes that best experience can't be achieved by looking at the larger strategy for a company or for a project, but that's your job. You need to represent the user, and you need to represent the goals of what they need.
Yes. And for instance, user experience design can be applied to many things, like designing an airport. How the flow is going to benefit the user as they come into the airport, as they check in their baggage, as they go to the gate. You know, it's based around the user and creating the best experience for them.
Yeah, so it doesn't need to just be screens. It can be a physical experience. It's all about what different humans or people are experiencing.
Yes.
So.
And what's great about designing applications for mobile, for web, is that we currently want and need human interaction, and we want to connect with people. And these tools allow us to create really cool apps that are interactive and can help celebrate humanity and connect us to one another.
Yeah, James mentions that strategy design is more about internal enterprise solutions. It can encompass that. I don't disagree with you, but I feel like strategy design is such a broad term that it can really be applied outside of the enterprise space as well. I've worked with a lot of enterprise companies, but now owning my own company, I'm still thinking about strategy, and I'm doing strategic design outside of enterprise solutions. But yeah, you're not wrong that it does require a lot of strategy to think about those hard enterprise problems.
Yep.
And so yeah, I think there's more clarity required here because he's still confused. Is strategic design a field of occupation in itself, separate from UX? And I really think the best way to describe this is strategic design is a skill that you learn as a designer inherently as you work on larger and harder problems, and you're thinking in different levels of abstraction outside of just the execution layer of creating screens, of coming up with solutions. Strategy is more about long-term goals, about how you're going to move the product forward, about how you're looking at the larger picture. And so that's just a soft skill, I feel like, more than a hard skill of creating deliverables. And hopefully that helps clarify a little bit more. But that's my personal opinion and thoughts on strategic design. And I feel like I am a strategic designer based on the type of work that I have done. Cool. What a great conversation. What a great question. Please keep them coming.
Yes.
There was another quick question about mapping animations in XD by Eogen. Animations are not possible in XD at this point in time, so After Effects is probably the best Adobe product to use, though you can also do simple animations in Photoshop, which I've also done and is a little bit fun. But I love using After Effects. I think it's intuitive. There are a ton of tutorials again online that can help you get started. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you should teach yourself After Effects. It helps you make your ideas come alive and helps a graphic move, and it's so interesting. I love it.
Yeah.
And I wish we could incorporate GIFs and animations to XD on Prototype. Do you know if that's possible?
Not now, but yeah, we're obviously looking at what tools are useful, and I know that Talon is involved in a couple different streams. He's the lead designer on the XD team. He'd be a great person to ask about that type of functionality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
I
be
think
really cool.
animations are really useful in conveying an idea and a feeling. I mean, if you think about micro animations on material design, they're all really subtle, and you really shouldn't be thinking about the animations happening on screen. They should just help elevate your experience to get you to where you need to go. So yeah, I mean, making animations is super fun to me.
Yeah.
But you can create simple animation transitions with your prototypes in XD. So if you want certain screens to move certain ways, and now we have the overlay feature, so there are aspects of animations that can be included in your XD file at this point in time.
That's so exciting. And that just came out, right?
Yeah, so it's a
features?
new feature with this release. So you can do overlays and sticky elements. Please play with those. Give us feedback. Give the Adobe team feedback, rather. I'm no longer an Adobe employee. I used to be an Adobe employee, and I used to work with the XD team, and they're working on some really cool stuff. So yeah, check it out, try it out. I think they're making some great improvements, and XD is such a powerful tool nowadays.
And use it on the challenge.
Yes, please. Yes, the challenge. So we have about 48 minutes left before we'll review some of those submissions. But remember, we're just looking for a simple one-pager for the World Cup. I'm excited to see these screens. I think they're going to look really nice. You can really push the visual aspect of this challenge. So have fun with it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you make.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. So let's jump back into the process here. I know you've got plenty to show.
Yes. So right here on this paper.
So we have here on a sheet of paper a sketch that Katy's done. We just need to switch over to the GoPro. Yeah. Sweet. And if it's a little bit hard to read, maybe I'll hold it up while you're talking.
Sure. So the app is called Eatly, and I developed a primary persona, which is going to be the main user. And it's kind of cool to create a persona because you give them emotions, you give them a background, you give them, you know, the core values that they are representing when they use the app. I don't know if I explained it well, but
Yeah, I think that's perfectly right. So you want to create these personas based on real problems that your users have. And so they might be a conglomeration of a variety of different users, but you want to hit on key problems that your users have, key motivators, which you have down here as wants and drivers, which I think are great terms to define those.
Yes. So here we have Winnie, and she says, "Hi, I'm vegan." She loves sweets, she loves to travel, and she loves sweets, greens, and mixed drinks.
Nice.
She's adventurous, and she currently uses an app to check into places she's been so that she can remember and revisit them later on.
Awesome. Alyssa from chat says Winnie is like me. I think that Winnie is also like me.
And like me.
Nice.
Yeah. She's actually my sister, so hey, Win.
Aw, that's super cute. Yeah, I always love making personas and characters based on people I know their names anyways, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun putting these together.
And some of her wants is she wants to know what's new, what's out there, because she has a sense of adventure. She wants something that's easy, with easy navigation, and she wants a history or a check-in to keep track of restaurants. And then drivers, what are driving her to use this app? So she wants a sense of community. Her ethos are on making sure that she goes to restaurants that are proper for her dietary needs. And she's very curious. She likes the ability to discover new things.
Cool. So she'll check out the new restaurants in town that have the weird dishes that no one's tried yet.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then over here we have user types. So these are the users specifically for Eatly. We have Winnie, who eats vegan food, and then we have Brooks, who eats everything, specifically steak and French fries.
Very American diet.
Yeah. And then I wrote down their restaurant knowledge. So Winnie has a very deep knowledge on vegan food, vegan restaurant. So vegan restaurant specific knowledge.
Gotcha.
And then Brooks has a broader sense of what's out there because he eats everything.
Yeah, Voodoo and JD are complimenting the style of these pages. When I first saw these
thank
pages
you.
that Katy put together, I was ecstatic. They're super cute. They're super well documented. I think it's really great to sketch things out by hand still. You can take pictures of these and upload them. But yeah, these are really great exercises to do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I encourage you guys to just take the Sharpie and start writing things down, because those first moments where you can write down ideas are really important. You can go back and scratch them out, but they're always going to be there, and it's really cool.
Yeah. I think it's great. It also keeps it low fidelity enough that you know that you're working through a problem still, whereas if you were to create a final deliverable, say digitally, it would feel more of a statement. It would feel more of like a final decision, which you don't want at this stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have tech savviness. So Winnie and Brooks both are very knowledgeable with their tech. Then we have pain points. Pain points are so important in UX design. Why are they important, Sarah?
Because if I have a pain point, I want it to be addressed. Otherwise, I'm not going to use a service available to me. So you need to know what users find painful in order to solve it for them in order to be useful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool, I got it right.
And Winnie's pain point is that she takes for hours to try to figure out where to eat. And I think that because, well, knowing her personally, she goes out to eat for special occasions. So she really wants to make sure that the place she selects is the experience, the ultimate experience. And then Brooks has peanut allergies.
Oh no,
Yeah.
we gotta watch out for those peanuts.
So hopefully this app will help both of them both of their flavor palettes come together and agree on a restaurant.
Yeah, and actually there's a story last night, right, of you trying to select a restaurant with the other guest.
Yes. So Heba, who was on before I was, she can't eat pork, and I eat vegan. So trying to find a restaurant that fits both of our needs was fun.
It's tough, right?
To say
Yeah.
the least.
So this is definitely a pain point that exists in the real world.
Yeah.
You just experienced it yesterday. I know I experience it all the time with my dietary restrictions too. So
Yeah, for sure.
really great prompt.
And sometimes when you're just tired of eating meat or you're tired of eating gluten, you can just edit your dietary preferences on the app, and it'll change it for that specific amount of time that you want to take a break from whatever you don't want to eat.
Nice.
And then the problem statement I've developed is finding a good restaurant that provides options for 2 flavor palettes. Dietary restrictions takes a while. It does. It takes a long time.
It does.
And how might we facilitate this process and create an easy way to choose a place to eat? So the solutions are
Here, I'll hold it and you can focus on talking about it.
The solutions are easy navigation, an organized and intuitive user interface, engagement, something that promotes restaurant discoverability and engagement, and activation, that gives users organic actions to take while their engagement is still high.
Great. And so you've had some bullet points under these 3 key solutions, which is really great. And you have iconography too to represent it, which will keep people focused and on task of what we're trying to solve for, which I think is super useful. So navigation, engagement, and activation.
Yes.
Awesome. We know what we're focused on now. You can print those out and have them pasted around the office as you're working on this kind of stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And then we can start the wireframing process. But yeah, the UX process takes a while. Before you begin sketching things out on paper, you really want to make sure who your user is. And it gets you excited. It's an exciting moment to be able to deliver a design that's very helpful for whoever is going to be using it.
Yeah, it's all about that human connection. I mean, that's why we're working on what we're working on, right? So you want to make sure you understand who you're helping, what you're focused on before you jump into solutions. Because people have biases whether they realize it or not. And so you want to make sure you remove those biases by talking to people, understanding what competitors are doing, and really figuring out what pain points you're looking to solve. And so we've done that with these exercises, and I think it's really important to highlight how you can do it in even a sketchy way, but you want to go through that process.
Yeah. And when you're designing something, it's really great to go to your neighbor or your friend and ask them, how is this working? Do your user testing and make sure that it makes sense to them. You want to make sure that your designs are very clear, and you can start off very simple and add stuff to it as you go along, but starting off, make sure that you're getting down to the basics.
Yeah, I think it's super important to do user testing at the wireframing stage. I would say use sketches. I've used whiteboard sketches before. The looser you can get, the better to get that basic flow down and basic functionality. So that's a really good point. The more you can iterate at this stage, the less expensive it'll be too as a designer, so you won't need to create new screens every time you're testing and figuring out new problems.
Yeah. And I want to ask you guys, what are some of your favorite apps that you're currently inspired by?
Yeah, what are your favorite apps? That'd be really cool to hear.
Yeah.
What's your favorite app, Katie, right now?
I love Spotify.
Nice.
Because I love music.
Yeah. Who doesn't love music, right? Music is fantastic.
I love the Behance app.
The Behance app. Yeah, the Behance app is good too. I really like Airbnb because I've been traveling a lot lately.
For
it's
sure.
super intuitive.
Their designs are amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. ArtStation apparently has an app. Thanks, JD. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to go check that out now, but I love all the artwork on ArtStation. Colby also loves Spotify. Thomas loves Starbucks. I understand. I have an addiction too. Coffee is amazing. Colby loves Coinbase. That is really cool. A lot of the crypto apps nowadays are becoming pretty modern. Robinhood is another really great one if you like Coinbase. Voodoo loves the Hearthstone app. Yes, I love that too. I think it's amazingly designed. A lot of functionality in there.
Visco. I love that.
Oh, Visco, yeah. Alyssa mentioned Visco. That's a photo editing app. It's pretty cool too. Victor loves Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar. They recently released an update and it's amazing.
Adobe Capture.
Capture is also really cool. If you haven't played with it, Katie, I highly recommend it. But you can take pictures of, say, brush strokes or your sketches and create brushes from them or capture other information. So please play around with that. It's one of the most powerful Adobe mobile applications.
That's so cool. Oh, iOS patterning?
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Mariano Crivello.
Yeah, apparently that's a music app. I'll have to play around with that.
Recommending that. Yeah, that's so cool.
Peter likes Spark. Spark is really cool. It's another Adobe app for creating easy videos and presentations.
Joshua Heath loves Instagram.
Nice. Instagram's really cool too. Duolingo is really cool. That's a good one, JD. I love the UX on it, and it helps you learn a language. So when I want to brush up on my Japanese, I open that up, and it's a ton of fun before bed. Asana is really cool. Waze is really cool. Tidal apparently updated and has a nice redesign. I guess I'll have to open that up again. Not that I ever used it, but I'll have to look at the screens at least.
Headspace. That's a good one. I love Headspace.
Spark Email is what Peter meant, and I don't know Spark Email, so I'll have to go check that out. But Spark Adobe is also really cool. Cash is also really intuitive. It is an alternative to Venmo that a couple of my friends use exclusively. I think their interface is really straightforward. It puts the money front and center. Antco is really cool. Anissa, I've been using that a lot for freelancing, and they have a wonderful plethora of tools for creating contracts and time tracking and things like that, and they're free. Headspace's motion team is really cool. I love all the videos they've created. I think they probably use After Effects or something like that, but the videos are super cute.
Oh, these are great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
A lot of really cool apps.
Yeah.
Adobe Draw is really cool. I like using it to do some doodles before bed too. Doing landscapes a lot lately. Landscapes are really relaxing to me. I'll just get into the zone and do different grayscale patterns.
I want to see some of your illustrations.
Yeah, I mean, we can maybe go through that at the end if we want to talk about ways you can find me, but we'll focus on you for now, Katie. Cool. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so keep it going with what apps you find inspirational. We've talked a little bit about wireframing and testing, and now what's next after you've created these wonderful wireframes and done a couple rounds of testing?
Next, we can start by wireframing on the XD application.
So what you'll do now is after doing the sketches, analog. Oh, we missed a step. So do you want to talk about where this falls into the process and what we're looking at here?
Absolutely. So after having done your user research, after having done the infinity map, the feature prioritization, you want to create a sitemap or a user flow. If you can do a sitemap like this is great because it kind of shows you how the user is going to be utilizing the app. So from beginning to end. And as you can see here, I began with the user opens the app. And for the first time users, you have an onboarding screen with a tutorial that kind of teaches you how the app is going to work and what you should expect from the app. Then we have the login sign up with Facebook. Because this will allow you to integrate information from your Facebook, like your friends list, to use the app. And then Facebook verification, And then for the first time user, first time you download the app, you have a window that asks you about your dietary needs. Do you have any allergies? So then here we have a list of potential allergy related foods.
Restrictions. Yeah. So why would you create a flow like this, and who would be the main consumer of this deliverable, Katy?
I would think that the main consumer for this are the developers, because they can understand what is, like, how the app is structured, the architecture for the app.
Yeah.
But also, as a designer, you want to make sure that you incorporate all this information and you don't forget what you want to include. Exactly.
Like, oh no, I missed a screen. If I had created a flow, I would have known the whole process. I wouldn't have missed it.
Yes. And then we can look at the diet preferences. Are you pescatarian? Are you vegetarian? So this is a cool way to really get all that information in here, and it's so calming when you're organized like this. It may look a little daunting at first. You're like, oh no, I don't know where to begin. But when you start by writing down, okay, I open the app, and if you need to, open up any other app and see how they're doing it, and mimic them, and kind of get your style from whatever your inspiration comes from.
Yeah, I think you have storytelling as the point before a flow, which makes a ton of sense to me, because this is really telling a story of how someone would travel through your application and all the different screens they might encounter. And so a way that I like tackling this is I like writing out different stories or different use cases, different ways people could want to use the application, and then that helps me figure out what screens I need to put in the sitemap or put in the flow too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you mentioned that, because when you do usability testing, it's very common to create scenarios with stories. So for instance, you prompt, your scenario is you are looking for a restaurant that is pescatarian. So you kind of create the story behind what you want the person to take action on, how you want them to look through the app to test out whether or not they get how it works.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
It does. So yeah, you just said exactly what I like to do, which is, again, writing down that story, then providing that story to someone who you want to test the app with, so that they go through the screens that you're trying to test out to see if the flow makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes they may not get it the first time, but that's really good, because it helps you make it easier to digest when you reiterate your design. So it's really, really important to do that.
Yeah, JD mentions that he thinks that's something he's been missing in his research, scenarios. So I think it's good. It's kind of like role-playing or acting something out. You want to mimic who's going to be using the application, but then also test it with people who you can give a certain role to take on for them to be able to articulate some of the things that they would think about.
Yeah, and it's really fun too.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I mean, with General Assembly, did you guys do a bunch of mock scenarios and things like that?
So many. And it was an all-day thing. We got there at 9 in the morning and left at 10 p.m. because after class, you stick around and you want to ask everybody, does my app make sense? Do you like it? Is it user-friendly, intuitive? So, yeah.
That's a long day, but that sounds like a lot of fun. And when you're passionate about it, it's easy to get locked into something. So.
Yeah. And it's easy to be really passionate about it, because as soon as you start creating these personas, they become like friends, like imaginary people that you want to cater your designs to. So it's you become very passionate about your design.
Nice. And when looking at this flow, it looks like you have a couple different colors going on, a couple different arrows and shapes. Do you want to maybe talk about how you can organize this information visually?
Yes. So the blues are the screens themselves, and then the pink, the lighter pink, are like what you see when you like sub-tasks or sub-topics. So for instance, under friend list, I wrote automated from Facebook and app users. So it gives me an idea where these friend lists come from. Or under restaurant randomizer button, I have the restaurant suggestion wireframe, and then under that, once you click that, you get the restaurant description with the rating, the price, the map. Then the darker pink color, swipe left and swipe right, are actions that you take.
So they're the darker color to represent an action being taken.
Right.
Nice.
And you can get very detailed about this. So between like the restaurant suggestions and the restaurant description panels, I would include click as an action, but I just skipped over that to make it easier.
Yeah, and I think the pink also represent things that the development team has to consider when they're building this out, whereas the blue is maybe more focused on what the designer needs to think about. So
Yeah.
that's a good way to represent it. I know there are a lot of different ways to put this kind of information together. There are different principles around the different shapes you can use for different representations of, say, a screen versus an action versus a decision point. So yeah, there are a bunch of resources online. If you just Google UX flow guidelines, I forget who my favorite is. I wonder if I can...
Oh, yeah, I know. I think I know what you're talking about.
I know, I can't remember his name, but he does some great stuff with defining out what representation visually you should use for different steps in the flow. I can't find it right now, but what I'll do is tomorrow I'll bring that up and show the streamers, show all you guys what that looks like and where you can find those guidelines. I think it'll be really helpful.
Yeah. This is so exciting, you guys.
Great, so if you have any questions about the flow and about how it's represented here, feel free to ask in the chat. It looks like we've gone through all the steps here for really getting prepared to create those wireframes in XD. And so, yeah, let's jump into maybe starting to build out some of the stuff. And maybe you want to talk about how you pull together resources to start putting together the wireframes in XD?
Yes, absolutely. So Behance has really great resources. Let's pull this up. So this website here has free wireframe UX kits for mobile web.
This website, Behance, yeah! And who put this together? It's multiple owners, but part of the XD team, it looks like.
Kyle Gale,
UI8 Design. They make some really great resources. They're cool group to check out. And then Jonathan Pimento, he is on the Adobe team. I recognize his name. So this is a great resource, it looks like, to start with.
And you can download it. It's really, really cool. I'll open one up for you. I believe this is it. Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of screens.
So this is really cool to just get started with an idea. You can select based on what screens you're designing. Like for instance, you're designing the sign-up wireframe. So this is really cool. You can just select it all, copy, and create a new place, a new artboard. And when you click the artboard, you just paste it on there, and it
Brings everything over.
It fits perfectly into the artboard, which is really cool.
That is really handy. And it also aggregated all the assets from this element into your new document. And so you can start pulling in different character styles, different colors, different symbols. So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like this. So because I'm here, why don't we start designing the first wireframes for Eatly?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
if we look at the sketches, it looks like we start with a splash screen with the logo, the name of the application, and a start button.
Yes. So this is really simple. You can select. So if we start from scratch, you can select on the left panel over here, the artboard selection tool. And you can create your own artboard, but say you don't really know what the specific dimensions are. You can select on the right panel over here the specific dimension for the phone you're using. So I'm using the iPhone, oh no, not this one. I'm using the iPhone 7. So you can click on that and it gives you the perfect artboard to use, the perfect dimensions.
Yep, so you can either do a custom size, or we have some presets for you, or you can enter in your own resolution if you're designing for a specific phone size. I know the XD resolution is super fun to work in because it's so different and you got to consider the notch. So a lot of different options on how you can design your mobile application.
Yeah. So on the first screen, we're gonna go ahead and write the name of the app. So we have Eatly. And what's really cool about XD is that, as you can see right here, this word has a little, what would you call this? A little
Resize tool?
resize tool. The little circle lets you resize the title by just moving it back and forth, which is awesome.
So you can either resize the text by dragging it to the size you think works, or you can enter in the actual point size on the right-hand side in the properties panel.
Yes. And if you like this specific size, you can also go to your character styles on the left panel and drag in. No, not drag in. You can
Just press the plus, which you did,
Press
so
the
it created
plus.
that character style based off of the text you had selected, which is really nice.
Can you drag it in? No, you can't. Okay, cool. Then we have a little image that we're gonna use, the logo. So I'm creating a box to represent where the logo is going to go. And this is just very low fidelity, so don't worry. The next couple of days we're gonna build up this app to make it look visually
Stunning. Yeah.
Cool. So then down here we have a little arrow. Have any of y'all used the XD? What's your favorite feature on this? What do you like about it?
Yeah, is
most?
anyone playing with the sticky element or the overlays, those new features in this new release? And also, as a reminder, we have about 20 minutes left before the challenge deadline. We'd love to see what you can create in XD to see what kind of level of expertise everyone has. It'll be really cool to see what you can put together. And Julian has a question about alternating your design between platforms like Android versus iOS design, which is a great question because every phone is a different size nowadays. So how would you design a mobile application for both Android and iOS, Katie?
I would create 2 different artboard files that mimic each other. I'm not really an Android user, I'm sorry. But I would really study that because it's important to diversify your design and know the guidelines. And there's definitely guidelines out there. Like for instance, iOS has design resources and they have specific guidelines that you can look at. But yeah, just do your research and make sure that both designs have the same look and feel, but that are that cater to the specific device that you're using.
Yeah, I think the principle there is when you're using different OSs, operating systems, like Android versus iOS design, you want to make sure you know the guidelines and you have your document set up where you have a style guide that can apply to both. But they're obviously going to be different because of the different guidelines for the operating systems, unless you're doing a web-based product. But when it comes to maybe, say, an iOS design that has different resolutions, then generally you can get away with just doing one design at one resolution and then indicating how it would reflow or resize for those other sizes. And that's something that you would talk to your development team about to see what their needs are and what their experience is with resizing content. I think it really depends on the project you're working on, but when it comes to different operating systems, you want to make sure that you have designs that translate to both. And then your style guide should encompass all the different platforms that it's going to be available on. So say you're creating a style guide for an application that's both Android, iOS, web, like you want to make sure that's all encompassing in what you're describing in the style guide.
Yeah, and it's important to have an open conversation with your developer, the development team, from start to finish, because they can tell you what's working, what's not working. You don't want to continue a design when there's an issue along the way.
Yeah. You want to keep that communication going for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So we have people liking the new drag and reposition for imagery in XD. Miriam likes the whole look and feel of XD. I think it's very clean too. Yeah, Lewis likes some mapping of menus and being able to record walkthroughs. Being able to record video is such a huge benefit of using XD.
That is really cool. And you can, at home, you can record your own videos and upload them on YouTube and create tutorials to help other people as well. I think that's so interesting.
Yeah, so what'd you just do, Katie? You dragged and dropped
an
image from your Finder?
I did. So I looked for a Facebook sign-in button. And there are so many resources out there. You don't have to recreate every single thing. It's really cool when you have a specific style and you want to like create everything from scratch. But sometimes when you're doing the low fidelity, you want to get everything out there.
You don't block it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to make sure that everything fits and that you're not missing any button or anything. So, yeah. So I found this sign up with Facebook button and I just dragged it in here.
Great, just like the UI kit, the wireframe kit.
Yes.
Great, so we have our first splash screen and the second screen is letting you sign up with Facebook.
Yes. So as I'm designing this, I noticed that I also want to include like a tutorial panels.
Nice.
For the onboarding. So what's really cool is that you can just move this wireframe to the right and then add more in between these two. So I'm gonna make this one here. I'm actually gonna grab them from the side because I know they're gonna be perfect from the options on the right panel. So.
And now this gets into how you organize your XD file too, because you can move your artboards all over the place.
Yep.
I know I like to have one flow on one line, and then if there's a second flow, I like to move it down, and so I do like a little tree almost.
Yeah. Almost like, what's it called? Like the happy trail, is it?
Yeah, happy trail is at the top, and then maybe more complex flows are lower down. So the easiest way a user can get from point A to point B is called a happy trail sometimes, or happy path. And then, yeah, you can add extra layers of complexity down below.
Yeah. And it's so important to name every single wireframe because when you're working with other UX designers, say you're in a group project or you're sharing one big file, you want to make sure that the naming conventions make sense to everybody. So I'm just gonna go ahead and name my wireframes.
So what are you naming them?
I'm naming them just onboarding 1, onboarding 2.
Cool. So do you normally name them based on the action the user's taking on the page?
Yes.
Cool. Because I know some designers just like to name them like 1, 2, 3, 4. Really depends on what you need in terms of clarity, I guess, and especially if you're handing off that design file. I know that, was it Adam in chat? Yep, Adam in chat is mentioning that collaboration is his favorite feature of XD, so that definitely takes into account that you hopefully have a clean file so that when you do collaborate with other people, they can understand what's going on too.
Yeah. So Victor mentioned that he likes the alignment and distribution when you move the artboards around. So as you can see, these pink gaps right here tell you exactly how, like, how close you are to having specific, like, perfect dimensions between every artboard. So that's really cool. And another cool thing is that you can show a layout grid, and when you click on the artboard, you can bring down the transparency, right? On this?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Or the gaps in between them.
Or the gaps in between them. You can really, you can play around with the colors. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I know that we're getting to the point of the challenge submission deadline. I just pulled up a bunch of them. There are a ton of submissions so far, so thank you for participating. There's about 10 minutes left if you still want to get it in. I'm looking forward to reviewing these. It looks like people are having fun playing around with XD.
I'm so excited to see them.
Yeah, they should be a lot of fun. And so you're going over grids and different breakpoints. So these are useful when you're creating web applications, but also mobile applications if you know the kind of padding that you're looking for with your guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Yes. For those that are very pixel
perfect,
this is great. I love it. Someone just mentioned I love how if you take the opacity on the grid down to 0, it throws in grid strokes. Yeah, that's really cool. Voodoo Val says, I think a lot of people like to have the stream up where they can ask questions while they work. Yeah, it's really cool. Please ask questions. And I know that we haven't gotten so far today on the design, but we are going to be on for
2 more days.
The next 2 days. So we're definitely going to get there. Thank you so much for tuning in and being patient.
Yeah, I think it's a good indication of how long this process can take before you even start designing in XD. There's a lot of thought that goes into these screens and a lot of consideration into how you want to approach the application or the product. So I think it was very useful to go through all that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Daniel has a question. He's from Peru, and what he sees there is sometimes people confuse UX with UI. And when you do research and find user types and things like that, they say, where is the UX here? So I think that's a good point to bring up. A lot of people are confused of the difference between UX and UI, and that's sort of an education thing. But Katie, do you want to talk about maybe succinctly how you can maybe explain to people what the difference is between UX and UI?
Absolutely. UX is user experience. And as we mentioned before, it's designing for the user. And so that's what encompasses user experience, but UI is user interface, which is more on the structure and the Yeah, like the structure, the visual, the information architecture, how things are set up within a space, within an element, and that they work together. And typically, UX comes before UI. So, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously you know what you're talking about because you've taken the course and everything. So I think it's a good way of putting it is UX, really, when you break down what these terms mean, is UX is user experience, UI is user interface. And so the difference between the two is one is focused on the user, one is focused on the interface. Those can definitely be married in one design job, and that happens a lot where you're focusing on the user and also creating the interface for that user. But there are different skills involved with each type of task of UX or UI. So I feel like the testing and human aspect of it can all be surmised as, think about the term UX. What are we focusing on here? It's human-centered design, whereas UI is more about the visual language and how things are being translated for the user and how it's going to be applied to whatever device or screen it ends up being viewed on. Because it's not always just a mobile device or a computer. There are examples of where you'd have, say, an interactive booth at a conference, or say a screen in a car, or say an experience in a shopping center with a magic mirror that lets you try on different clothes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, there's a ton of different applications, and so the interface can change, but the user experience is always the story of what a user wants to accomplish.
Yeah, that's perfect. You described that so well.
It's like I've practiced. Yeah, having my own company, you really need to help people understand what your services are and why they're useful. So I think anyone who's trying to freelance or anyone who's trying to advocate for design within their company cannot practice enough the difference between those two terms, what design strategy is as well. That was a great question earlier, and just knowing how you approach problems.
Yeah. And it's, I was wondering, can you do UI design without the UX design, without having that background knowledge? What do you guys think? Are you a UI designer, and how did you get there? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. What's your feelings on this, Katie? Because I know you came from visual design into UX, so you were probably doing visual design without UX in the past.
Yeah, and I have to say that it was a little more challenging, because when you design UI, you want to make sure that you have a purpose and a reason, like not like think about. So in visual design, I thought about the big picture and the end product, like how it was going to look like. But in UI design, you want to think about every step of the process. So having a UX background is helpful.
Yeah.
In knowing like why you're choosing the colors or icons or the design system you're using. Why are you doing those kinds of things? So they're good questions to think about as you're designing for UI.
Yeah, I think me personally, there can be people who work in a company that are only UI designers, and then there might be more people focused on UX or strategy or solving the problems and coming up with the solution, and then handing off that solution for the UI designer to implement. And so in that case, the UI designer does not need to consider any of the human elements because they're just executing on a found solution. But if they want to improve the product and being a contributor, I feel like there needs to be an inherent knowledge of the UX and how the user is going to interact with that interface. And so to me, they're intrinsically connected. I feel like maybe when you're a junior designer, you may be more focused on one area, but if you want to advance as a very thoughtful designer, I feel like you need to have skills in both personally, but that's my opinion. And I'd love, to hear about what everyone in chat thinks. So Victor thinks you can, with a little graphic design orientation, then a little orientation in design thinking, whether it's IDEO's design thinking or circular design method. Okay, so it sounds like there are ways that you think that you can just do UI design. JD is more UI than UX, but he's realizing that UX has been a natural progression and he's been loving it. Yay! and especially with awesome support from the XD team. That's good to hear. They're a great bunch, and it's completely changed his workflow.
I like David's comment. They go hand in hand. Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah, I feel like they are hand in hand or kind of intertwined, whether or not you realize it or not. But that's my thought. And it sounds like you're going on the path of learning UX after knowing visual design because you find there's value in it. So, yeah. Yep. Nathan thinks UI delivers the UX. I would agree with that. And on that note, we have 2 minutes left before the submission deadline. And so we've done a lot today in terms of covering the different processes, deliverables for the UX designer before they jump into wireframing digitally in XD. Tomorrow we're going to be focusing on the wireframes in XD, and we're going to start doing those final designs. And so we'll be seeing the application of UI on UX, so we can see how that translates. We'll also start thinking about how to translate this into a style guide. So we'll review maybe some of the functionality of the assets panel, and we'll also talk about how you might want to create a formal document of a style guide depending on the different devices you want to deliver for. Day 3, we're going to do some prototyping, which should be super fun. So excited. Yeah, maybe we'll go through some of these new features of the sticky navigation or sticky elements and overlays. That'll be really fun to learn and figure out with the new feature and release of XD. Yeah, and we have a ton of submissions, so I want to thank everyone for submitting. I'm going to go through uploading a couple more of these to make sure I have everyone's pulled up. So if you want to participate, please submit now, and I'll be able to pull them up for us to review. And with that, Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've covered today?
Yes. So today we talked about the design process, certain deliverables that you may want to consider when beginning, before you begin to design your app. And then we talked about developing personas, specifically what their needs and wants are, what drives them to want the specific product that you're trying to make come alive. We're talking about pain points, the problem statements, and your solutions. These are all great. It's a foundation that you're building before beginning to build up that product that you want to showcase to the world. So I encourage all of y'all out there that are doing UX currently or wanting to dabble in this design world, definitely look at tutorials online, read about it, create your own spec project. It's so much fun. It really is.
Yeah. Great, so we've covered a lot. Let me make sure I have everyone in here. We have so many participants. I'm super excited. Yeah, I think we're good to go. And so, yeah, thank you everyone for submitting. Thank you, Katie, for going through all these processes today. And now it's time to review some of these submissions. And so if we remember, the challenge was to submit a one-pager, either desktop or mobile application, with the stock assets we provided for the World Cup this year. And I don't know if anyone's been watching, but I think the most intense game this World Cup so far was the Spain versus Portugal match, tied 3-3. It was super intense. Yeah, and I'm super excited to see more of the games. So yeah, Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about what you see here? It looks like we have a desktop page, and let me know if you can see it all right.
Yeah, this is really cool. I love it.
Oh yeah, and it's submitted by Vanessa Baez. So thank you, Vanessa, for submitting.
Yeah, hey Vanessa, I really like this. I like the way all the visuals are on the right side, and then the calendar and live fan chat are kind of on the left. And it's really cool because when you're looking at a website, you kind of read from left to right.
Yeah.
So the most important information is located on the left, which is really good. And I like that you included the online now, 200
253
53
fans. That's a lot of fans that are online. I want to chat with them about this intense soccer game.
Yeah. You're very detail-oriented, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, it looks like you really focused on all the information that you wanted to include on this page. There's a lot going on, and so I would come to this page and learn a lot, it seems like. It's a little bit hard to read some of this stuff, but it might be because my screen is pretty small. So even when I make it full screen, it's still a little bit hard to read the navigation. I think this text size could be bumped up quite a bit so we can read it a bit more easily. I also noticed that the padding at the top is a little bit inconsistent with the 3 different elements. And so it might be nice to be consistent with having some sort of title for these cards on the right-hand side, just so it all feels like it's in the same family, in the same visual style.
And the nav bar, just increase the type size a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that would be very helpful.
Great, thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Who do we have next? We have Raja. So Raja put together a mobile application, and it looks like we have 2 screens. So we can see here that we even have it in a mock-up, which is really cool to see it in context. And so we have a title, a menu, we've got this awesome video at the top, Germany versus Brazil. Wonder if that was an intense game. And the text here is a little bit confusing. How Sweden ended a 60-year drought. It's a little bit
it's like
confusing.
an article.
Yeah. Maybe that's related to the World Cup, but I'm not sure.
I like the video portion of it and how you're giving us the live score.
Yeah, I like the live score.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you can see the points as they're aggregated. And then we have this menu at the bottom too. So it looks like there's a home, there's a calendar. I'm not sure what the 3rd icon represents. Maybe some sort of articles. And then maybe favorites with the star. So let's go to page 2. Cool. So now we're meeting the teams and we're searching by different groups.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, we have this whole screen here where we have the different teams, so we can see there should be a flag representation, a team name, and an image with a description. I really like that, and I like the ability to filter by a team. Looks like you can even scroll, so you have the fixed element on the bottom.
Nice.
Good job using that. The fixed header and fixed bottom footer makes it look really nice. Let's see, do we have that on the main page too? Yeah, we do. Nice. So
that makes sense. Yeah, the articles make a lot more sense once you see more of them.
Nice.
That's really cool. I love it. Thank you so much. Who contributed?
Raja. He told me to zoom out too, so thank you for
hey.
letting me know that I could scroll and zoom out, because I didn't know that immediately. I'm not used to the new features in XD. This is looking really nice. Great job.
There's a comment asking how do you fix those elements, and we're definitely going to talk about that in the next few episodes.
Yeah, so tomorrow we'll definitely be covering it. Maybe the streamers after us, we have Lindsay and Sarah, they might be covering it, so stay tuned. But there are also some tutorials online. It's a new feature with the latest release of XD. Great, and next we have Jamal. This looks neat. It looks like a desktop landing page. So yeah, we have a bunch of really nice gradients, really nice colors, really bold shapes. I like the visual style of everything being aligned. I think that's very powerful.
I like that you're incorporating the various platforms. They're visually striking. But I have to say that, what do you think? Are they the most important part about this website?
So it looks like it's telling you where you can watch the World Cup and where you can play the game FIFA, which is really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think I'm always struggling with where I can watch the World Cup since I don't have a cable subscription. So being able to see that front and center is very useful for me. I don't play the FIFA game very often, but if I knew where I could play it, maybe I'd be more likely to jump into it, which would be really fun, I think.
Yeah.
I love video games, so I'm sure I'd like a soccer video game too.
Yeah.
Looks like we can
Oh,
scroll.
you can scroll.
I need to just start scrolling on all these, so thank you, Jamal, for letting me know, because there's so much more here. This is awesome. We have the news.
that.
I really like the style of the different block elements, the different cards, and I like the highlight of the different games with the score very visible in the top right, and also letting you know who won and who lost.
Yeah. It's very user-friendly. It's straight to the point, very clear.
Yeah, I like the action button. This could stand out a little bit more for me because I didn't see it right away. I think if this were maybe the blue color or a brighter color, since we have all these images that are very bright colors, it's hard to notice a CTA with a gray background. I also like the blue that you chose, but it looks like the blue for the news is a little bit darker. I don't know if that was intentional or if because maybe it's an overlay on the gray background, making it a little bit darker, but yeah, the blue being consistent would be really nice. And I love the bold horizontal, diagonal rather, line right through the header between the blue and the black. I think that's really nice to show the difference between the different actions in the header.
Yeah.
This is really, really clean, really nice.
Yeah.
Really great work, Jamal. Next we have Raphael. So this looks like a mobile application, and we have a header or a one-pager here with a couple different things going on. We have the logo for the World Cup, we have a title, we have the ability to search, we have a profile, and then it looks like we have news, score, and video. So this looks like we're on the news page right now, and we have different articles going on. So we can see the title of the article, the date of the article, and a nice image. It might be nice to have a description of these different news articles to know what would happen if I clicked on one of them in terms of what kind of content am I getting into. The image is good, but it might not be enough information. It looks like Raphael says there's a new one that he uploaded. I might not have pulled it up in time, so if we have time at the end, I'll try to pull that one up. This is the one I saw when I pulled up the list. Sorry about that, Raphael, but it's looking great so far. Next we have David.
Oh, did we scroll through that one?
I tried to scroll and it does not scroll. So maybe in the new version it does. So yeah, we'll try that again, Raphael, maybe in a little bit. Next we have David. And David, it looks like, did a desktop version. We have 3 different screens here.
So cool.
Yeah. So it looks like Canada is playing the US. Oh man, my heart. Don't know who I want to win in this game. And it looks like we are able to watch it live, and we're able to click on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and click watch live. Nice. So we have the ability to just watch it on our desktop. Very cool. I like the little banner on the bottom. You can go back to the home screen. You know what you're watching. And it looks like we missed a screen, so let's go back to the home to see what else we can click on. Real-time game statistics tracker. So let's click on that. Nice. We have a couple different things going on here. It's a little bit hard to read with all the colors and patterns going on. So I might give you some feedback of just making it a bit more blocky, like maybe you saw with Jamal's composition. The gradients over the images help the clarity of the text on top. It's also a lot of the same color of text, so maybe some parts of the text are more important than the others, so giving it visual hierarchy with color would be nice. And it looks like we have a lot of space below the penalties and scoring summaries, but I like what you're doing here. I like the idea of the desktop application here. Great job, David.
Yeah, good job.
Great. And next we have David Yateman. So this looks like a desktop homepage. Ooh, and we can scroll. I love the background pattern. Is that something you grabbed from Adobe stock, David? This is really cool.
That is so cool. Yeah, I love it.
And this is the logo, it looks like.
The social media handles, buttons up there. I love that.
I like, this looks like a very classic webpage design with a strong header. You go down. Nice, you get a live score of maybe the current game, which is really cool. I like the styling here, and I like the little illustration. Very cool. We got some schedules, so you can see what games are coming up. This is really clean. I can tell what's going on. The dates could maybe be a bit more prominent because we have the same styling for everything in the card in terms of the color. But overall, I think it's clear to have them grouped together in cards. I think that's really successful. And we even have a footer with the same pattern, which looks really nice.
I like the way you thought about this. It's very, very well thought out.
Yeah, the hierarchy of information makes a lot of sense. You want to know what's going on now, then you want to see what's coming up. And then if you need any other additional information, it's on the bottom for you.
Yeah.
Great job, David. Next we have Armando. Cool. It let me know that it was scrollable that time. That's helpful. So Armando put together a mobile application. It looks like we have a couple different things going on. It looks like we're trying to show the current game in this little sliding navigation with the scores. It's a little bit hard to read being so close together and with all the different colors going on. But I like the idea of putting it front and center and having it be the top of the hierarchy. I also like being able to jump right into the live view. That'd be really cool to just be able to open it up on my phone and click on it to see it.
Yeah, for sure. The live chat, I like that.
Yeah, being able to talk to people about what's going on. Goal!
Oh, I like that. Oh, it's not a live chat. It's like a social media. It imports tweets or...
Yeah, I think it pulls in all the different social media outlets into this aggregated source. That's really cool.
Merch, awesome.
Cool, we got a schedule too, which is nice to see, so what's coming up. And we have a fan page on Facebook. Nice social incorporation. So this looks really
cool,
nice.
Yeah.
Cool, and it looks like you created this first screen for me. Thank you. That was really helpful. Thank you, Armando. This is looking really nice. All right, Joshua is up next. Cool. This is a dynamic header page. So we have the header at the top, then we have the different teams, I guess the different countries in this banner that you can possibly click on. We have this big Watch Now link and a Twitter link. I'm going to click Watch Now to see what happens. Cool, and we get a live stream that pops up right on this page.
That's cool.
To see what's going on. And you have the scores incorporated here too. Nice, I like this header. There's a lot going on, but you can click on the different teams. It might be nice to do a little bit more contrast between the teams and the background color. And the blue and red is to match the logo, it looks like, which is cool. You're following the same style of the logo. And let's see, if I click on Twitter, cool, I also get a pop-up of the Twitter feed that's going on. This looks a little pixelated and a little pasted on top of a desktop, so you might want to try to incorporate the desktop version of Twitter to make it more contextual to your desktop application or desktop webpage. So instead of showing a mobile version, you might want to show the desktop. But this is really cool. Got the live streaming. Got the home page. So yeah, I like this a lot. Good job, Joshua. I didn't get the name on this because it didn't allow commenting, but please let me know in chat if this is your comp. And this looks like a desktop homepage, and we can scroll. Nice. So we have a couple different things going on. We have the top navigation. We have search on the top navigation, as well as a live blog, watch live, matches, which has a little typo, but that's fine. XD has some spell checks, so you might want to use that when you're creating prototypes. Groups and teams. And currently we have the Russia versus Egypt game. Very cool.
Oh, Voodoo Val is saying this is from
B. George. Thank you, B. George, for participating. Thanks. It looks like your navigation gets hidden behind the image when we're scrolling, so that just might be something you want to think about. If you add a background color to your navigation and put it on top of the image, you won't have that issue when you scroll. But I like these cards for the different matches. It's really clear and easy to see the different games, see what's happening now, and see the scores. Got a live blog, so we can blog about this. Cool, and we have some news articles down here for you. You're interested in Sweden, Russia, and Germany. Very cool. I wonder if those teams are good. I don't know too much about those teams. Awesome. I really like this layout. It's very clean. I think the search is also useful if you're searching for a particular team and you want to see that match straight away. And I like the logo on the top left too. So great job. Thank you, B. George.
Thanks, B. George.
Next we have Sendesh, another mobile application. Nice. I like the header here. It's very clear. You can see the text very easily. We have the traditional hamburger and search icons. And then we have different tabs for matches, news, standings, and players. Doesn't look like I can scroll on this one, but it looks like you would be able to scroll if we built out this application. And I love the cards. I like the little background gray to separate the white card from the background with a drop shadow. We have the live button
like
here.
that.
Yeah, we can see the score easily. We can apparently see a match preview, which I'm not sure what that would mean, but that sounds really cool. And then we can see the schedule also for these games that are upcoming. I like the flags. The treatment of the flags is really clean and nice. I like the rounded corners.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And then you have news, standings, and players.
Yeah, so you can browse through different news articles, the standings of the current winners, and that kind of stuff it looks like. So this is really cool. I like it. Great job, Sendesh. Great. Again, okay, it's by Mikkel. Mikkel submitted this mobile application. And it looks like we have a couple different pages.
I love this.
I love the background. Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you like about it, Katie?
I like how it looks very artistic, but it's very, I don't know, like simple at the same time. I like the CTA button. It's asking, how is it going?
Yeah,
So
how is
cool.
it going? Cool. So maybe I think he wants to have me view it in full view. Or he asked me to refresh it, so I'm just going to refresh it real quick to make sure we have the latest version. Cool. So how is it going? Let's click on this and see how it's going. Oh, I like that transition, the fade. Did you catch that?
Oh my gosh, no. Can you redo it?
I will redo it.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So when we click on this, we get a nice fade into the second screen. This is really
Beautiful.
clean. I love the glowing effect. It makes it feel really like modern. The styling of everything is very soft, but the text is very clear.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and we have the big CTA at the bottom to watch live, which is really nice to see. I like the score on top of the field. That's really neat. I think that's a cute little styling.
And it seems like the top is scrollable.
Yeah, scrollable navigation. So we can see the current live, history, schedule, a couple different things here. And we can see basically a history of the game with a timeline, which is really nice. Someone got a red card. That's not so nice, but hopefully they learn how to play nicer next time. This looks really nice, very clean. And we can transition between the two. Good use of the animation here. I think the fading in and out really makes a difference with the style. Great job, Mikkel. Next we have Colby, and it looks like we have another desktop application. We have a lot going on here. Matches, teams, groups, players, destination, awards, and ticketing, as well as social stuff. So I think all of those are clickable, which is crazy. Good job putting all this together so quickly. I noticed that the social icons have a white background. I don't know if that's because you pulled in these icons, but yeah, I would recommend removing the background from the social icons. And we don't have a ton of time left, so I'm going to go quickly through these last few designs. But let's jump through these pages.
Oh, I love that.
The matches look really nice. If we go to teams, I like the styling of the teams here.
Yeah.
This looks really cool with the crests. Groups, we can see the scores very clearly. Players, I like the player
that's really
highlights.
cool.
Yeah, you can see the different players, the teams that they're on. Destination, you can know where to go to watch these.
Y'all took a lot of time to design these. You
Yeah.
can tell.
These are beautiful, and we even have ticketing here.
That is so cool.
Great job, Colby. This looks fantastic. Oh, this one is a design spec that was shared, and so we have a different view here than what I would normally be viewing. This might be a little bit hard to see, I don't even know if I can zoom in, so I'm sorry, Tor, but we can't view it with the design spec link. So next time, if you could submit the prototype link, that would be awesome. We can see a little bit here, and it's looking good so far, but maybe in the next stream, they can review it if you send over the other link. If I click on it, I can see the prototype. Oh, okay, great. So clicking on it, we can see the prototype here. So we can see this screen. We have a nice header image. We have some text at the bottom. It's a little bit hard to read the text on top of the background, so I might want to turn up the opacity of the text a little bit more.
I agree.
Yeah, but it looks really nice. I like the use of the imagery. The logo is really cool. It looks like you're focusing on the Dutch team, I think. So that looks really nice. Cool. Thank you, Tor. Next is Melanie. This looks like another desktop version. Cool. So we just have this page. It looks like we have the ability to watch live. We have teams, matches, fan zone, and tickets. I like the bold text on the dark background. It's really easy to read. Yeah, very successful. Robin created a mobile application. We have a live score here. We have the team that's playing currently, which is really nice. And then we have alarms that we can set for the different ones going on later today, which is really helpful for someone like me who wants to be reminded. Really nice. And the second screen, great.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, we have the live score and the progression of the game. This is really nice. It shows a really nice overview and timeline.
Yeah.
Great. I'm not sure who submitted this one. We didn't have the ability to comment with the name. So we have here the desktop again. We have a different way to select a television provider to be able to view the game, which is cool. And then also we have a screen with upcoming games. This is really nice. Kind of looks like I'm looking at a TV a little bit.
If you designed this one, let us know.
Yep.
In the comments.
Raphael, okay, this is a new version maybe. Let me see if I refresh it, if we have the ability to go to the second screen. We do now, so now we can see the scores. Great, so we saw the news originally, and now we have scores. And then we have Carlis. Oh, and this looks really nice too. Cool, thank you everyone for submitting. I'm sorry for having to go rapid fire through those last few, but Katy, now it's time for you to pick your favorite out of the ones you've seen today.
Oh my gosh. No.
Yeah, do any stick out to you? Do you remember any in particular?
Yes, I loved all of them. Honestly, y'all, I can tell you took a lot of time to design these, but the one that stood out the most was this one right here.
Oh, sorry, which one was it? This one or?
The previous one? The one with that one. I really like this
so
one.
Mikhail, congratulations.
Yes,
Your mobile
congrats.
application. You're the winner of an Adobe Creative Cloud license, and thank you so much for participating, everyone. That was a lot of submissions, a lot to get through. We were a bit too slow in the beginning, so sorry for speeding up at the end, but if you want to participate in the next stream, please feel free. And congratulations again to Mikhail. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow. Stick around to check out Sarah and Lindsay. They'll be working on redesigning an app and a health application. Thank you everyone.
Thank you guys.
Katy.
See you tomorrow.